Hello you stonkers, how are you? Today I'm talking about the stats. The stats according to the emissaries, the stats on the Great Awakening. Let's see where we are. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So every now and again I ask the emissaries where we are on the Great Awakening, okay? And so I did that very thing with them the other day. And I said, so how many people? But I word it, you see, it's all about the wording of the question. It's not the answer, it's the question that you've got to get right. And so I said, how many of the world population, not 8 billion, I saw a great video explaining how it's impossible that it could be 8 billion, but anyway, how many of the whole population are waking up in the process of waking up, right, in the process? And they said between 60 and 65% of the world population are in the process of waking up. Now that's massive, and maybe some of you might poo-poo that, you know, and maybe a while back I might have poo-pooed that, but no, because I understand now I understand much more what the Great Awakening process is all about, what it's like. So I said, okay, well, tell me then, what percentage of people would be working with you as the emissaries in terms of what you do? And they said 20% of that we would be working with, 20 to 25. And I said, so why is that so small? And they said, because our energy, what we offer is a message of hope. And so not everybody's ready to hear the message of hope. Not everybody wants to know all about the wonderful things that are coming. They're focused on something else. So that's when I asked them, okay then, how many are just starting? How many are just kicking off? And they said 40% are what we would call in the early stages of the Great Awakening. So we've got 60 to 65%, 25% at the top end who've gone through this process for a good while. And then there's massive amount of people who are at the beginning. And they said that's why we don't work with them, because they do not want to hear, you know, everything's going to be okay and you're just here to witness it, because they are in a very different place. They are in the anger, depression, sadness and fear. And we've all been there. It's the process of loss, and I know I've mentioned this process, but it's the perfect measure of where we are. First step, I can't believe it. Now, 40% of the people, or 35%, are in that. I can't believe that. That would be ridiculous. That could never happen. That wouldn't happen. Right? They're in the denial bit. But then we've got this 40% who are in the next stage of the loss process, which is, holy fuck, this is real. And now I'm really angry. And now I'm really sad. And now I'm really depressed. And now I'm really scared. One of those, all of them, probably all of them. That's where they are, okay? They're in that part. Where we, the ones who've been going through this for a while, where we came out of that bit, or we should have. If you find yourself angry and depressed and sad and fearful, and you've been there for a long time, like more than a couple of years, you need to do some work, you need to get out of that. That's too long, okay? We've moved into the acceptance, and then the acceptance, and then the learning from the acceptance, and then the moving on to do something about it, to do something with that learning to make yourself better. So that's where we are. Where the vast majority of people are is in the okay, hence the protests, hence the anger and all of that spilling out onto the streets. So the emissary said, understand, the baddies know that this group of people are in this first stages of Great Awakening. And so they said they're doing their damnness to keep people in fear, sadness, anger, depression. They want people to stay there. And they said, because that's a, you know, you can control anger and violence with anger and violence, can't you? But when people get to acceptance, and when they start doing the inner work and start becoming Zen, they're uncontrollable. You can't control them. You know, it's the classic thing, you know, this, you can take away the body, but you can't get to me. You can do what you like to me, but you can't reach this inner light that I've got. They know that. This is a very dangerous place for people to be in. So they're working to keep people in the first part, in the extremely stressful fear and anxiety place, the anger. Okay? They know that. So what the emissary said is their approach to this is exactly what we're saying, is to keep the level of fear-based events at a maximum. This is why it's like never ending. It's one after the other overlapping. I mean, we've had it for a while, but it's never been where it is now. And they're doing that on purpose because they want people to stay fearful and angry, right? And boy, is that what we're seeing? Is that what they're doing? That's where they want everybody, because they don't want them to move forward. If they can keep them there, all right, so the people are waking up, but well, what the hell? We can keep them controlled. We can just keep them angry and keep getting them to the streets, and then we'll arrest them and we'll lock them down and we'll do all of that. That's a better place to have people than to when people are just saying no. Yeah? No thanks. That's where we are. Like, no thanks. No, it's not for me. Thanks very much. Rather than no. Okay? That's a much easier thing to control, because people who are angry and depressed and sad and fearful can't think very straight. And that's why we see weird things happening. People don't think very well. There's no planning to it. But when you've moved over to the acceptance, boy, can you make a plan. Boy, can you start sorting your shit out. So they don't want the people there. But you know, the good news is this. They can't stop it. They might be able to delay it a little bit. They might be able, with terrible confusion, stop people, make people stumble. But they can't stop it. The Great Awakening is always going to happen. It always was going to happen. All they can do is kind of try and delay it with their stupid tactics. But people will see through it. And people will go, there's so much information now for people to educate themselves that these things that are happening to them just force them, as the emissary said it before in an earlier video, it catapults them forward along this process. It catapults them out of anger and fear. Once you start getting information, information is power. And this is the thing, the more information you have, this is why the rabbit holes are really important at the beginning. This is why it's really important to find out as much as you can at the beginning, because it makes you feel powerful. Suddenly you're in control. Suddenly you can see. It's when you can't see. It's when you don't understand. It's when you just think, this is mad and I don't know why. But then you get the information, you go, this is mad and I know exactly fucking why. Yeah? And that's what, they don't want people there, but they can't stop it. That's where it's going. And the emissary's finished by, they were talking about the timeline. And I was talking about, you know, the fact that this timeline's solid now and strong. And they showed me the timeline and it had guardrails on the sides. Like rails on the sides. So people can't fall off. And I said to them, why has the timeline got guardrails on? And they said, because it's going to be shaken. You are all going to be shook. That's what they said. And so it needs to have guardrails on so you don't fall off, basically. So that's where we're going to. It's been shaken. It is being shaken, but it's a strong one. And we're not going to fall off it. We're going to carry on. And we're going to get there. And it's going to be bloody beautiful. And imagine when we've got all of that other 40%. I don't know about the rest. Forget about the rest for the moment. Imagine when all that 40% get through to where we are. Holy cow. What is this world going to be like? It's going to be gorgeous. Anyway, I love you all and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.